Hi, let's talk about what we learned today. I am Christopher Ballinger. I am joined by my wife, Jessica Ballinger.
Hi.
And we have a very special guest today. It is our daughter, Bailey Ballinger.
Hi.
Bailey is 12, going on 13, and she loves to read. And so that is the topic of today's podcast. But before we start talking about reading, I wanted to talk about what you learned this week, or what all of us learned this week. I'll start. I learned how entertaining videos of people going into abandoned mines are. It's super dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody if you're not like a trained professional and know a lot about mines to go into them because they're super dangerous. But for some reason, I got into this like wormhole of people going into mine holes. And it's like, it's so fascinating to me. And I don't know why I'm so fascinated by it. But I am. So there it is.
Very cool. Anything in particular that you're interested in or that you've learned about it?
I think the main thing is because like watching them, I'm like, this is so cool. Wouldn't it be cool to like go in there? And then I think to myself, no, I would never go in there. I would never do this. It seems so dangerous. And a lot of the videos, these guys are going in and they're wearing all the protective equipment and they're professionals, but it still like seems like a close call every time they go in there because rocks are falling off the walls or the ceiling, or there's like a huge drop, or a ladder fails because they're these old ladders from like the 1920s. And so I'm always like, I would never, ever do that. But it's fascinating to watch someone else do it because I'm so scared of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I can kind of live vicariously through them. And it's really cool. They find all these old artifacts from like the 1920s, the late 1800s, all the way into the 1900s, and just these really deep, like 600 feet into the ground mine shafts. And they're like exploring it. And they go to places where people haven't been there since like the 50s or the 40s. And
Wow.
They find like the stuff that was left behind by the miners. Yeah,
I have actually been in something like that before. And I don't really know what, looking back, and I can't believe that I did it now that I'm like...
Every time I watch one of these videos, I'm like, oh, Jessica would not like this.
I mean, I don't really know where I was, except that we were in Arizona visiting family when I was probably around Bailey's age. And I know that my mom was like, we're going to go into a quarry thing. Maybe that's the wrong term for it, but they're very famous for these like holes that they go in, and they have tours, and there were stalagmites and stalactites. And I remember there was like a space where they said, don't go down there, like don't fall down that hole because it's forever. Like, and I really wish I remembered more about it, but like I think back and I'm like, wow, that was terrifying. I would never take my small children into one of those places because that's a fear of mine. I don't know. My parents were like pretty gutsy, I guess.
Bailey's a big kid now. Would you go in one?
Yep.
Yeah, she'd be all about it.
Would you go in one like without a guide?
Probably.
No, you would not. That is the answer is no, you would not.
She would though.
So they find sticks of dynamite that haven't gone off that were from like the 30s, and if you kick it, it blows up.
I don't think I was in a mine. Like I think I was in a earth hole.
A cavern?
A cavern. That's what I was in.
I've been in a cavern before, and it was awesome. The Grand Canyon Caverns. I went with my parents. It was super cool.
Well, looking back, I just don't know that I would go with all of my small children. That would make me uncomfortable. But I think my parents only had 2 kids, so they were probably safer feeling than I would be. Yeah. Because they have enough hands to make sure no one falls down the big hole.
Yeah, that's 2 hands per kid.
Yeah.
we're 1 hand short.
Yeah.
We have 5 kids, so we're 1 hand short.
Yeah.
Bailey, is there anything that you learned this week that you want to talk about?
I learned that tsunamis are terrifying.
Oh, wow, we are just...
Oh, that was my fault.
What'd you do?
We watched one of my favorite movies of all time, and one of my favorite movies to show to like young people as a bridge between PG and PG-13 movies, even though it's really scary. So you have to have a gauge of like how scared they are of things and like really go slow. The scariest part is at the very beginning, at least. So I think that that's helpful, but we had to have like a lot of talks before, just like leading up to it. And like we live on a coast, so we had to talk about tsunamis and the likelihood of a tsunami happening. But we watched the movie The Impossible, and it's an incredible movie. I just love it. It's such an, what did you think, Bailey?
It was incredible.
It's so good, isn't it? What did you like about it?
I don't know. I like that. Oh wait, spoiler alert.
You liked the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she liked the end.
Spoiler alert, it ends.
Well, and it's a true story. That's one of the things I love about it, is that it follows a family's true story of their experiences with the tsunami that hit Thailand and I believe Indonesia, and I don't know where else, but it hit along that whole coast, and it was absolutely devastating. I believe it was I believe it was the biggest loss of human lives due to a tsunami on record. I can't remember the exact facts, so don't quote me on that, but it's just an absolutely devastating tsunami, and it showed this family's journey within against the impossible, and just how they struggled through that. And it's just really an impressive movie, and just people who have such grit. I could watch that movie from like more angles. I think if that was an option, like to see it from different people's perspectives and just to watch it more and more and more and more, I would love that. Love that. And Jacob actually saw it with us years ago. It was his first PG-13 movie ever. And at the time, Bailey said she was too nervous about seeing it. And we were like, okay, yeah, we're definitely not going to have you watch it then. And just this week, she felt that she could see it. So we watched it together. And Parker actually joined in as well. And he has absolutely loved it. They've been watching all the behind the scenes on it and stuff. So how did you feel? Did you feel ready to watch it, or was it too scary?
I was completely ready to watch it.
Nice. Do you think you could have watched it sooner in your life?
Probably not.
Good. I love that you can gauge that and that you know that.
And good job to you for gauging that as well as a parent. That's...
She told me we started it, and I was like, this is what's happening. And she was like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. And I was like, okay. And she left, and it was fine.
But that was when I was like 5.
No, you were probably 11, 10. No, 10.
No, I was
9 or 10.
I was like 7, 8.
No, you weren't. You weren't that little because Jacob saw it, and he wouldn't have seen it that early. He wasn't that young when he saw it. But it does have like a moment of brief nudity, and I have to say, like, that doesn't bother me at all as a parent, showing my kids
nudity in general, or that type of
no, I was about
nudity?
to say nudity in context.
Yeah.
And very respectfully shown. It's a mother that has had like an emergency situation, and basically her shirt has become like stripped off of her body in a very like natural way. And she's clearly injured. It's not sexualized. And the son notices it, and he's an older son, so he notices, but then turns away and kind of like gestures to like just let her know that it's happened. But I love that it shows a young man having the ability and restraint to like to just turn away, and like teaching that moment. I just think it's very well done. So I really actually appreciated that it was in there. And I just wanted to address that to the audience, like to you guys, that I think it's really important when looking at something like nudity to not just go like, oh my gosh, that's there, I can't believe it. Oh. But to go like, oh no, this is like the human body is wonderful, and here's a normal moment and a natural moment, and it's handled very appropriately. And to not take issue with that. Like, I don't take issue with that. I'm sure there are certain family dynamics or issues where someone might for their own reasons, but I think that it was really well done, and I appreciated it.
Context is really important in a lot of things.
Have you seen it?
I actually haven't seen the movie.
Man, I'll show it to you tonight. It's
I'm really
so
scared
good.
of
we watched it.
tsunamis, though. I don't think I'm old enough for it yet.
Oh, now I can't pressure you. I was planning on spending the rest of the podcast pressuring you to watch the movie with me.
Well, maybe you can in the next segment of the podcast. But before we do that...
I know, just so you know, I know that Parker is already talking about watching it again. Like, every day he's asked to watch it again. He says it's
liked
his
it that
second
much, huh?
favorite movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, today he said it was his favorite movie, and then he immediately went, Wait, no. It's my second favorite movie.
What's his first favorite
Definitely
movie?
Parrot Trap.
Definitely Parent Trap.
Oh, yeah. I should have known that. All right. Well, we are going to start talking about books and reading and how to incorporate.
Tricky, right?
Bailey's learning how to use the microphone. That's
Me
what she's
too.
going to learn today.
I hope I learn it too, Bailey, because I'm still figuring it out.
Before we move on to the next segment of the podcast, I want to see if we have any words from our sponsors. All right, we are back, and we are going to talk today about books and reading. And luckily, we have an expert. We actually have a couple experts and me here. But Bailey has loved reading since, how old were you when you started reading?
I was 3.5.
3.5, and you love books. She's reading
Wait.
all the time.
Wait, I was Duncan's age.
Yeah, that's wild.
I know.
That's wild. Bailey is a special case. I don't think you should worry if your kid is 3 and not reading yet. But I did want to talk.
Well, and I should say, like, Bailey's brain was really primed to read. We did a book called 100 Easy Lessons to Teach Your Child to Read, which has not been a successful program for Jacob or Parker. So the curriculum that's worked really well for Jacob and Parker has been all about reading. It follows an Orton Gillingham approach, which is especially great for people who are dyslexic, and also just for anybody. I think it would work for any child. It is very simple to follow as a teacher. It walks you through everything. All that you need is right in front of you, except for maybe like a pair of scissors. But it's all just like ready, and I don't have to prep anything. And I really appreciate that. It's been really nice for them because we can break up the lessons and slow it down. And the whole goal of it is for them to not get to that point of exhaustion or discomfort. And I really appreciate that. So that's been a great program. And I'm kind of like trying to decide if it would work with Duncan. There are curricula that are better tailored to different kids' brains and how they work. But
how do you find out? Do you just try it, and then if it doesn't work, you try something else?
That's how I figure it out. And you don't want to give up too easily with reading.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a struggle point. Like every kid of mine has had this sort of excitement at the beginning, then reluctance, and then kind of like discomfort that you have to push through. And you don't want to push a kid. Like, you really, like, that's not the goal, but that is there. And I think that people who are teaching their children should know that that's normal, and to not get too like worried about it. But also you want to make sure that they love reading. Like, that's the goal. And I always try to keep that in mind. Like, the goal isn't to have them read by a certain age or to have a certain amount of words memorized by a certain day. Like, it's to have them genuinely love to read and to take the time to let that grow, I think, is the most important thing. But there is also a phase where they're like, oh, this is so hard. And then there's a click. And I feel like 100 Easy Lessons worked really well for Bailey. She could just know a letter or know a word, and she would know it. Like, she would just look at it, and then she would know it for the next time. And that was pretty simple for her. A lot of kids don't work that way, and that's totally fine. Like, Bailey's just a very visual learner who picks up languages very quickly. I'm the same way.
I'm the opposite.
Christopher's the opposite.
Yeah.
So our kids are the opposite and a mix, and me. and I love that we can both understand and appreciate that about them, because we've both had our own experiences and have both seen how both brains can be very successful in their own ways.
Was reading, do you remember reading being a challenge when you were first learning it, Bailey?
Yeah, for a little while.
So even a master reader like Bailey has to go over like a little hump to get to the point where she can actually read and enjoy it. I had a really hard time reading. Jessica thinks that I might be dyslexic. I've never been diagnosed as that. But the way I look at things and the way I think about things and the way I read things
And the way you spell things.
and the way I spell things, I am notoriously bad at spelling.
Well, and it's interesting because you'll spell something correctly at the beginning of the sentence, and then if the same word comes later, you can spell it completely differently.
And so I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about like what we as parents have done to encourage our kids to read and enjoy reading. And I want to start off with Bailey talking to us about what you like about reading.
I just like that it takes you to another world, and you can like have an adventure and stuff. It's really cool. And you get to experience like how other people feel.
Do you have book recommendations that you could give people?
Yeah, I really like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson and Hunger Games and Keeper of the Lost Cities.
Keeper of the Lost Cities is so good. I'm reading that right now on Bailey's recommendation.
I didn't even start reading for fun. Like reading was a chore for me when I was younger, because my school was like, you have to read these books. And then when I started reading for fun, I started realizing how cool it is, like that you can go on those adventures and stuff. And that never clicked with me in school. And now I'm going back and reading those books that were assigned to me to the kids at nighttime. And they're so much better than I remember them being when I had to like get through them or read a certain amount of pages every day. And Bailey's never really experienced that, I don't think, in terms of like, you have to read from this page to this page.
I have.
Oh, when have you done that?
In like book clubs, like I had a book club at the library where we read Alice in Wonderland.
How did that feel to have it assigned to you? Was that fine?
It was fun. I read ahead.
So you didn't follow the restrictions. Maybe that was the key, is to just ignore the rules.
And that was something I actually really struggled with. I was an avid reader. I was a lot like Bailey. I just read all of the time for fun. And then when I got to high school and had assigned reading, I wouldn't read the books. I would like try to get the Cliffs Notes. I would try to I would just be behind. I would guess what happened. And it was because I don't like to be told what to do. And I don't like to be assigned things. And even right now I'm in a book club with my friends and I'm just struggling so much. I try really hard to get to the chapters, but I just kind of like feel resentful of having these rules assigned to my reading.
That's how I felt when I was reading Maze Runner for a book club.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I feel like this could have been really fun, but like one book at a time, like a book a week, I can't read this much, and I want to read Percy Jackson or Harry Potter right now.
I want to read Keeper of the Lost Cities right now. So I'm like grumpy because I'm reading The Stand, which is a great book, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm just like resistant because I have rules behind it. And one week I read way ahead and I felt guilty because I passed everybody. And then ever since then, I've been way behind because I was trying to like make up for that guilt. So I actually observed that about myself early on, like when I was in high school. And it was one of my goals as a parent and as a teacher to you guys, because we homeschool. I don't know if we've mentioned that on today's podcast, but we've homeschooled our kids since their schooling began. And I didn't ever want to assign you guys reading, because I feel like when somebody is assigned something, there's automatically a lessening of their desire and interest and love to read that subject or that book, even if it's something they would have already been interested in. And I think it just makes a new struggle and a new dynamic for the person. And like when Christopher and I met in high school, I remember him saying to me, I don't like to read. And me just I was just like, you just haven't found what you love yet.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion, is that when, that you might not like to read everything. Like that's normal. You might not like to read what's popular or what your friend likes, but there's something out there that you can find an interest in and that can like spark your passion and joy and interest. And it's like, it's all about finding that and finding that for your kids. And it's one of the reasons why we have a rule, this is my rule, that we don't read Harry Potter to our kids. And we don't have that playing on like audiobooks either. And the kids can't read it to each other, even though they're very tempted. Like Bailey wants to read it to the little kids all of the time.
It's also kind of rough for me because I traditionally have read them their bedtime story. And I really wanted to go through Harry Potter because you and Mommy love Harry Potter. Everybody loves Harry Potter. And I haven't read them all, but I don't have time to read them all. but I'm not allowed to read them out loud to you guys.
This was a very big, like, early on conversation for us as parents, where Christopher was like, can I read them Harry Potter? Like, they're going to love it. And I want to read it. Like, that was what he was saying. And I was like, you know what? No, you can't, because I think that Harry Potter is a fantastic gateway book. Like, it's a book that a young child or a growing child can read on their own, and that generally sparks their love, interest, and desire to read. They want more. They want to continue the series. They want to find new series because of it. And there are flaws with it, and there are flaws with J.K. Rowling now. There's like some disappointing statements that she's made. But it's a book that really ignites a passion for reading in young people. And it's something that I like to just kind of keep in my back pocket. And I just feel like even the reluctant reader, even somebody who's been conditioned to go, I know that I don't like reading, or I've had an experience up till now of like reading being uncomfortable or not fun. It's a book that like launches a child into fun. And it just, especially like Bailey had already read it when Jacob read it, but like for Jacob and actually for Parker now, like getting to be able to read at that level of Harry Potter was like the goal, because then they could read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And they were so excited. And I was really glad that we waited and that Christopher didn't read it to the kids out loud. And I think Christopher has seen that now, because it was so rewarding.
It was amazing. I feel like that book, I wish that I had a book like that when I was Jacob's age, because when Jacob had I was watching him have the same struggles that I had, and the same, like, this is a chore, to read is a chore, the same mentality. And as soon as that book came along and he was able to read it, and then he wanted the next one and wanted to get to that level of being able to read the next one. It didn't matter how long it took to read the book. He just wanted to read it, and he wanted to get everything out of it and understand it. And I never had that book until I was like in high school. And seeing that happen, seeing him like wake up to that was so cool. It was like the coolest. Like, I was like, oh, Jessica totally had the right plan here. This is exactly what he needed in order to continue with learning how to read and mastering it. And he's in like Percy Jackson books. He's into all sorts of other books that he's found that he likes as well. And that's really cool. I think it was a really good job for you. Yeah. That was really cool that you did that and had that insight.
I also don't like bribing kids to read. So I don't like the concept, and it's very popular to do this, but to have like a book list, or to go like, okay, read 15 books and then you'll get a pizza, or then you'll get something. And I do believe that it shifts the dynamic. Like it teaches you like reading's a chore, and reading something that you do.
It's a job that you have to do. Yeah.
And so I don't love that dynamic, and it's very tempting to do it. But there are some reasons why I think it's really flawed. And I'm not saying we've never done it. We like to participate like in the library summer reading programs. But at the same time, I always kind of like go in there cautiously, because I am concerned about that being like the main approach to teaching reading, or to encourage a struggling reader. Mm-hmm. Because I think the key is more so to help them find why they would do it on their own. You know,
that brings up a really good point that I did want to talk about in this podcast, which is the sort of the pitfalls that people or teaching methods that sort of are almost detrimental to having your kid want to read. And I think that is one of them. I think that that's a really good point, is that like when you put a reward to something, it immediately becomes work. It becomes a job that you have to do to get something else, instead of getting the reward of reading and getting to go on that adventure in the book. A couple other tips that I want to give parents that have kids that are struggling with reading, or if you know someone that's struggling with reading, is, or if you are, one is reading aloud to your kids books that don't be afraid of heftier books.
Yes. So, and to your kids at young ages.
Yes. So we do have the Dr. Seuss, and the rhyming is actually really good for kids' development as well, and speech and everything, and the smaller words, and gets them excited about books that they can actually read sooner to themselves. But getting into like, I don't know,
classics and
like
unabridged.
Heidi, unabridged. Treasure Island was one of the kids' favorite books
yeah,
that I read to
one's
them.
really good.
But reading those books aloud really not only it kind of opens the door of like this is cool. Like reading a big thick book like that has like a really dynamic story that like resonates, and I can crack one of those books open and give that to myself as well, which I think is really cool.
And I think Christopher started with that around when Bailey was like 5 and Jacob was around 4. And I would say we put our younger kids in the room when Christopher is reading stories, like the nighttime heavier stories, to the big kids. We'll put the younger kids in when they're about 3
or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And even though a lot of it's going over their head while they're hearing it, they're learning how to listen to something that they don't fully understand.
Yes.
They're learning to ask questions. It's expanding their vocabulary. There are a lot of good things that have come from it. And the reason I said the ages that we've done is because I'm assuming people would ask like and go, what the heck? Why would you have a 3-year-old listen to Treasure Island?
Treasure Island. That's our favorite one.
Yeah. And what books have you read to the kids? I can
The
think
Hobbit?
of some, but
My Side of the Mountain.
yeah, here we get really close to that microphone.
My Side of the Mountain.
A Wrinkle in Time.
Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, we did Tom Sawyer
And Rifles for Witty Right.
yes, we did that one.
And what?
Go for
Keep
it.
going, no.
I think Daddy's impressed that you're remembering them all.
And there was The Incident on Hawks Hill.
Yeah, that was a really good one. So a bunch.
Arabian Nights.
Arabian Nights, Robin Hood, King Arthur.
Ooh, yeah.
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
A Midsummer Night's Dream. That one
Yeah,
was a little
and
more
A Merchant
challenging.
in Venice.
Those ones are a little more challenging, because they're Shakespeare, and for me that's harder to read cold, but also because it's a play, so it's just dialogue, so you have to sort of
Excuse me.
you have to sort of explain who's talking, while you're reading it. So that one's a little more challenging as the reader.
But they really enjoyed it, right, Bailey?
Yeah.
A Midsummer Night's Dream is a great Shakespeare play for kids. I feel like it's accessible, or like a little more accessible than some of the other stuff. It's not as gory or as sexualized.
And Christopher, I think you mentioned right at the beginning, but you did Heidi, and that you actually started. I think that was like one of the first books. You used to read it to my stomach, I think, when I was pregnant with Bailey, and then you continued it later when she was a little older. And then you also read Peter Pan to the kids.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, Peter Pan.
And the original Winnie the Pooh books.
Oh, yeah. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and...
Mr. Popper's Penguins?
Yeah.
Wasn't... I might be wrong, but isn't Mary Poppins a book? Didn't we read?
I don't think I read it. Is a book, but I don't think I've read that to you guys. I
thought
don't
you read
remember
that.
reading it.
And you read a college textbook on John Henry.
Yes, that was a really interesting one for me as the reader. I really, really enjoyed that. It was a college history textbook on the myth and truth of John Henry. And for those of you who don't know, he's like this legendary character from the time when they were putting in railroads. And Jacob was obsessed with him from the Disney Legends cartoon. And so you bought a textbook, and I read it to them. And that textbook was pretty heavy. There was a lot of heavy stuff in it. And I didn't shy away from it and shy away from talking to the kids about it. And I think that was really good.
The Abraham Lincoln book, too. That was so long. They took like 4 chapters. The camera turned off.
Oh.
It took 10 minutes discussing like how big the land was. Remember?
Yes.
What was that?
I don't remember. It was some biography on Abraham Lincoln. I don't remember which biography it was. I think it was also a college textbook, though.
I remember with the John Henry book, Jacob was so excited about him, and I was like, this is cool that he's excited about this person, and I really wanted to find a book for him that was even more geared towards young people, but at the time there was just nothing.
Yeah.
And it was so disappointing. Or there was like one book and it was very basic. It just didn't give that much information. And I went to the college textbook just out of kind of desperation to let Jacob explore this hero of his. And John Henry was also a Black man.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really wonderful that Jacob was looking at a hero who was a person of color and who had had the experiences that he was represented to have had. And I just wanted to know more because I didn't know anything about him.
The story and history was so sad, the way he was treated, or people that he was based off of were treated, and it opened up a lot of really good dialogue with the kids. A lot of really good discussions came from reading that book. It was really good. And that's, when you're reading historical text or when you're reading a richer classic book, you do get into these like bigger conversations with your kids. So it's not just about reading, it's about your relationship with your kids and discussing important topics in life.
We read the BFG, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
And maybe Matilda? Maybe? Yeah.
And we do try to, actually, I think always find unabridged copies. And that means that it's the full original text. And then Christopher will go in and edit slightly some of the things,
some
depending.
of the words. Yeah. Some of the words or some of the like moments that are too that they aren't ready for emotionally. Yeah.
He's able to gauge because we're speaking to our own children. So he's able to kind of figure that out. I know that especially with Peter Pan, you edited a lot of what Tinkerbell said.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I just remember you telling me at night. You read it years ago, but I just remember you saying that she was like very sassy.
There were a lot of words in Tom Sawyer that I didn't read.
Yeah. So I think that that's very valuable. Just the fact that as a parent, you're connecting with your children and you can talk to them about lots of issues in history. You can talk to them about flaws within the books themselves, and just come, face that head on. I think that's really wonderful. And we're also looking at some great book options right now by following somebody on Instagram called The Conscious Kid. If you guys want to find someone cool to follow in that realm. We saw them do a lecture through YouTube about a month ago, and it was just really fantastic.
Yeah.
I just ordered a book for Bailey, and I don't know if you want to read this to the kids, but I had at the time ordered it for Bailey. And it was called The Indigenous People, like History for Young People, I think. It's originally an adult text, and they changed it slightly for younger people, which is becoming popular now. At least I've noticed that while looking for books that are kind of heavier.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to checking that book out, and it should be coming in the mail, I think, tomorrow.
We also did By the Great Horn Spoon. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah, that was a really fun one about the gold rush. That was really fun.
Yeah, I remember you guys laughing a lot during that one.
There's one last thing that I wanted to talk about as in terms of like a tip for somebody that is having trouble reading, and that is to get an eye exam and see if you need glasses. And also,
my glasses really help me.
Yes, we went to a very special optometrist. Is that the correct terminology?
I think so. Yeah, you want to get a really thorough eye exam, not just the one the pediatrician or the school does.
So they found out for me that I have, when you do one of those tests at a school, you can have 20/20 vision because they check one eye and then they check the other eye. What was going on with me is my eyes weren't aligned properly. So now I wear glasses that have a prism in them when I'm reading for a long period of time or doing work on a screen. And that has helped me out a ton. I wish I had had that when I was Jacob's age. And Jacob has glasses, same way. And Jacob actually did vision therapy for a little bit, which also seemed to help him out a lot.
A prism, like if you shine a light through it, it'll make a rainbow?
I don't think it's that, it wouldn't bend the light that much. It just bends it just like barely even a millimeter.
Is it the same concept though? Like
it is a similar concept, I believe. I don't know a ton about it other than I can see better with it.
But that's what I assumed too, Bailey. Like I thought when I heard that's kind of what it was about.
I was like, what? You see rainbows?
All right. So we are going to check and see if we have any sponsors, and then we're going to play a fun game. What we're going to do right now is we're going to play a quick game with Bailey, and then we're going to answer some questions that people had for you on Twitter. Okay? So this is from BuzzFeed, and it says, "Sorry, Muggles. Only wizards who have read the Harry Potter books several times can pass this quiz, and I wanted to see if you could pass it.
I can probably.
Whoa,
I believe
confidence.
she's gonna win.
And I think you have read the Harry Potter books several times.
Yeah.
Have you read every single one more than once?
I don't think I've read the sixth one.
Ooh, that's the question that's gonna get you.
This
in
whole quiz is on the sixth
no,
one.
It's all-
I'm good. I've seen the movie.
Oh no, this is all about the books.
Yeah.
I've also read the book.
Okay. What is the name of the house elf who serves Barty Crouch? Is it Norbert
Winky.
Winter? Whoa, Winky is one of the options. Are you sure it's not Fox?
Fox is a phoenix.
Okay, so Winky is what I'm going to select here. Correct. Winky is the house elf who served Barty Crouch. All right. Next question. What does Harry do with the prize money from the Tri-Wizard
He
tournament?
gives it to Fred and George.
Gives word for word. That is one of the questions or one of the answers. Okay. So he doesn't donate it to charity or put it in Gringotts or refuse to accept it.
No.
Okay. Correct. Harry gives the winnings to Fred and George. Let's see. Which insect does Rita Seeker turn into?
Beetle.
Beetle. Correct. Oh my gosh, Bailey. You're totally acing this. What does SPEW stand for? Would you like some options?
Yes.
Oh, stumping her. Society for the Promotion of Elvish Welfare.
That's it.
Do you want to hear the other ones? Because there's other societies.
No, I read them all.
You're looking
She's
over the
reading over your
shoulder.
shoulder,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. We'll try it. Correct. SPEW stands for the Society of Promotion of Elvish Welfare. Talking and reading is hard. Who is Teddy Lupin dating at the end of the final book? Don't look at the answers. I'm going to
Victor.
read them out so that people can... What? Victor?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Okay, this next one, I want people to play along at home. So I'm going to read the
Okay.
answers and I'm going to give them a chance to guess also. Okay, ready? What does Dumbledore's Howler say to Aunt Petunia? Remember my last Petunia. You have failed to protect Harry. Dementors are coming. Don't forget about your sister.
Don't forget about your sister.
Wrong. Oh my goodness.
Oh, fake fan.
Oh no.
Oh,
Fake fan.
I forgot.
You're
I
a
haven't read that
muggle.
book in forever.
that number
Dumbledore's
six?
Howler says, remember my last Petunia? The one you laughed at. All right. Okay, here we go. Who does not die? Oh, it looks like we're probably going to have some
Spoilers.
spoilers here. So
I-
if you haven't seen or read the Harry Potters, you might want to skip ahead. Or if you don't care and you've read them, like, here we go. All right. Who does not die in the Battle of Hogwarts? Who does not die?
Well, this is
Fred
major
Weasley,
spoilers.
George Weasley, Colin Creevey, or Vincent Crabbe? Crabbe?
George Weasley.
Correct. Okay. So, wow, that's a lot of
That was a spoiler
there.
for Daddy just there.
I guess I don't have to read those books anymore. Which position?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Which position does Ron play on the Gryffindor Quidditch team?
Keeper.
Keeper, not beater, seeker, or chaser?
No.
Come on.
Keeper. Okay, good. I knew that one. What is the name of Tom Riddle's mother? Is it Molly, Margaret, Matilda, or Merope? Molly, Margaret.
Can I put an answer in
Matilda.
once she does? I have a
Merope.
guess.
I'm guessing it's either Margaret or Merope.
Oh, I was going to guess Matilda.
Definitely not Matilda.
Oh, man. Not Matilda. What is it? Make a decision, Bailey. Margaret. Wrong.
Merope.
Merope.
So close.
The other one that you were going to say. What is fatal to a basilisk?
The crowing of a rooster.
The crowing of a rooster. That's correct. Okay. So it looks like you got 2 wrong.
Yeah, I knew that.
So 8 out of 10. Wow, you're a wizard at this. You're the ultimate Potterhead. You've read the book several times. Hermione would be proud. So good job. All right, Bailey, a few people have questions for you on Twitter, and they use the hashtag LTAWWLT, which you can remember by LT, and it's the first letters of let's talk about what we learned today. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. What are your all-time favorite books to read? I love reading and I need more to read. LOL. Love your family. That's from Alexis.
Well, I really like I said before, Percy Jackson and Harry Potter and Hunger Games and Keeper of the Lost Cities. They're really good. And yeah, they're really amazing.
Olivia wants to know, what do you do in your spare time other than reading?
Writing and yeah.
I can
I
tell
play
you.
games.
Well, I was going to say you listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, but that's like while I'm reading or writing normally. So.
Luli is asking, how does she feel about getting close to teenagehood? What are her expectations about it?
I don't have any expectations. It feels like the same as, I don't know.
You
like
feel the same as when you were like 6 right now? Pretty much?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It's fair. She's been a teenager since she was 5.
Michaela is asking, would she ever get into playing guitar?
Yes, I do have a guitar and I'm really excited about it. I love learning new like instruments and languages and stuff, but I haven't put that much time into it, but if I can get a class that teaches me how to do it, I would do it.
Okay. Yeah, we could probably help you out with that. And I can help you too, because I know how to play guitar.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Dee Marie is asking, what book made you interested in reading? That was a long time ago.
Oh.
But is there a book that you can think of that was
Probably
like...
one of the first books I read that I remember reading was Matilda. And that really got me into reading, like Matilda and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And what really got me into reading was when I was 8 years old. I was still into reading, but like not as like completely majorly into reading that I am now, I guess. And I got the first Harry Potter book.
Yeah.
And
That Harry Potter book
Harry Potter
Yeah.
book.
gets all the kids into reading.
I still have it.
You do. You do.
So it wasn't Big Egg.
No.
Was that the first book that she read? Big
Yeah,
Egg?
by Martha Cox. I remember she used to read that in the car.
She used to read who wrote it?
She was so little.
Like, Big Egg is like the tiny little words that they make those kid stories out. And she's like, by Martha? Like,
Yeah,
she read
she used
Martha.
to do that. I was like, okay. But we still have that one too.
Yep. We
Classic.
still have Pickles the cat too. That was the first chapter book I read.
What about Funny Man?
Oh, that's not a chapter book.
I know, but you used to like that one.
Yeah.
The Funny Man, was that what it was?
Yeah, my favorite part was when I got to the end and I was like the whole time I was waiting for the end where I got to find the funny stuff at the end of the book.
Yeah. Classic.
Are you ready for a political question?
Sure.
Spooky Danny says, is Bailey aware of the presidential debates?
Yeah.
Have you watched any?
No.
All right.
You didn't watch the vice presidential debate with us?
I didn't. What were they doing?
I don't know. The other kids watched it. Parker and Jacob did.
I was doing something. I don't remember what it was.
Oh. You missed out.
Yeah, there was a fly. It was a very popular fly.
I heard about that fly.
Last question. La Wedia, or Wedia, is asking.
Last question?
Yeah, that's the last question for today.
I remembered one from YouTube, but I don't remember who asked it.
Okay, so second to last question is, if she could be any character from any book she had read, what book would she be?
What book would I be?
Or what character would you be? I'm sorry.
It would be Sophie, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
What book is Sophie from?
Keeper of the Lost Cities.
I should have known.
I don't know. Maybe Hermione. Maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Hermione.
I would be Dobby. What question did you have from YouTube?
I saw somebody ask about Little Women, and they were recommending that you read it.
I read it.
Yeah, Bailey read that one. And what did you think of that?
It was good. spoiler alert.
No spoilers.
Mm.
You can say your response without spoiling it, I think.
Okay. It was good.
Okay.
I think people who have read Little Women know what the spoiler is. So do you want to say how you felt about it?
Sad.
Sad ending to that one.
Are you glad that you read it?
Well, with that, we're going to end today's episode. We haven't talked about next week's episode, have we? We don't know what the topic is.
And I'm sorry, everyone, for how many times I hit the microphone when turning.
No, I think you're fine. I don't think they can hear it.
I think you did really, really well. But Bailey did a great job on our podcast.
That was something I didn't understand either. My first time, I thought it would go like thunk. And these actually don't really do that.
Yeah, these are really good microphones.
Well,
Yeah.
Don't try to thunk them.
Well, one thing exciting this week is that tomorrow is Luke's first birthday.
wait,
Very
what?
exciting.
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow from when this gets posted.
Oh.
Not tomorrow from right now when we're recording it.
So
but
like
tomorrow when
3
it's...
days. 3 days from now.
3 days
3 days from now? I thought it was like a week from now.
Sorry, he's got to be one.
I know. It's happening so fast, isn't it?
So Bailey, when you guest on like a podcast or something like that, you get to promote something about yourself. Do you want to promote your Instagram?
Yeah, I have an Instagram.
What's your Instagram handle?
I forgot.
Excellent. This is very good promotion. This is very
I
good.
think it's official Bailey Ballinger, or it could be Bailey Ballinger official.
Either of those.
I think it's Bailey Ballinger official, actually, now I think about it. But I don't know.
Or
for
it could
sure.
be just a whole bunch of random letters and numbers, you know.
Yeah, if you see that account,
Yeah,
that's
just
definitely Bailey.
It is Bailey Ballinger official is your
Are you
Instagram.
sure?
He's looking
Yeah,
at
I'm
it.
looking at it. You've got like 30K followers. That's pretty impressive, Bailey.
She has almost the same amount of followers as Shannon Messenger, who's her favorite author.
Wow. Good job.
And Bailey really wants to be an author herself one day, and she's constantly writing, and hopefully someday in the next year or two, she'll put out a book of her own. I believe she will. What do you think, Bailey?
Hopefully.
Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to today's podcast or watching it if you're on our YouTube channel. And we will be back next week with another podcast, hopefully a special guest. I think we're trying to get a special guest, yeah?
Yeah, we'll see. It's up in the air.
Up in the air, but somebody.
Can I come back later? Someday?
Definitely later someday for sure. But
someday.
we have all the other kids. Jacob was actually really upset that he wasn't the guest tonight.
Yeah.
So
And I'm
I
sure
told
Duncan's
him
going to
he
try
could
and get
take
in on
my
that too.
place.
I know, you were so sweet. But all the kids will be taking turns guesting because they really, really, really want to be here. So we just have to figure out how to divvy that
I
up.
wonder
And we
how
have-
we would ever make it work with Duncan, because it's like way past his bedtime. I don't even know what time it is. It's like
We can record it in the morning if we
Yeah, we can
really
make it work.
want to.
Usually we record it later just because Duncan's quieter. And I don't know if he wants to do the podcast or not. If he doesn't want to do it,
if
we
he
won't ever.
wants to do a podcast, I can help you with him.
Oh, thank you. You just want more podcast time?
You'd have to share a microphone with them. I've only got 3.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks again for listening, guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye.